seminars in the universities of Southern Africa. Our mission as the library is to engage students, academics, the public about the relevant topics in our country, in our continent. And also we like to align our objectives with the library vision and mission and position the library as a valuable resource center to the internal stakeholders and business sectors, writers and authors. And is to give a value-added service to our stakeholders, the students, to cultivate the academic integrity, the academic interactions. We, as the library, we have partnered with various stakeholders within the university, the student affairs. Today, you could see that we have the Faculty of Humanities also partnering with us. As a library, we engage with various stakeholders to ensure that there's a debate within the library and also to communicate with various stakeholders. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome all the students that are here, our key stakeholders, our internal academics, senior staff members, academics, and more especially to Dr. Bauer, our Executive Director, Library Services, and all protocol observed. Let me also take this opportunity to introduce our the student affairs, who's also a partner, and Iowa, and Campus Health Clinic, and ourselves. The programs that will be partnering this year are exciting. There will be programs that is related to gender-based violence. There will be also programs that are relating to drug and alcohol abuse. You remember last year we had PJ Powers, we had Angie Kawa, also one of our guests. There are various programs and internal authors that will be bringing actors and so forth. Recently, I had a discussion with the Minister of Defense to say, can she come here and share us a debate? She's excited. I'm arranging that she will be part of this library discussion this year. I also had a discussion with the Speaker of the Parliament, Baleka, to also grace this occasion. So there are more exciting things to come here. My Zimbabwean, it's not very good, you'll understand. And I was saying to the authors and the presenters and panelists here, Professor Nyasha Mboti, and the professor in communication, it seems that today is a Zimbabwean connection because the author is from Zimbabwe and the head of department is also from Zimbabwe. Last year we had a very interesting debate which was actually, the previous year, Yuma Sikela and my dearest friend, Oliver Mtukudzi, also from Zimbabwe. I don't know, maybe I should get married to Zimbabweans, In Zimbabwean, we have a language which we call a very interesting one. Hey, Zikapresa, man. You achieve your degree, you say, hey, Zikano Presa, man. You have a problem and you get married, Zikano Presa, man. And Yuma Sikela was actually saying to us, we must change our mindset. Zikano Presa means, hey, things are tight. Hey, who betting for it? Hey, that's a sling, it's a sling language in Shona. We must now maybe change during this library discussion. We come with something that will be positive. Can someone please switch my cell phone? To say Zikarimbo, which is okay, sharp. Or we must change to say Zeruku fire, things are firing. In this library discussion, things will be firing. Zeruku fire, Zukono fire today. So today we are going to have an interesting discussion. To our honest guest, I'm not introducing her, it's not my part, Miss Panashe Chingumadzi. If I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, please forgive me. It was my first time to shake a hand with the author. The only author that I've shaken hand with, usually in the novels, was a Tsonga author and also Chinua Achebe. But today I feel honored. I just want to provoke you a little bit because it's a discussion and the library discussion. You call your book The Sweet Medicine. Very interesting. In my lifetime as an African, I'm an African, I've gone to various Inyangas from Maputo, where my ancestors are, with the chief there. And also, I'm a grandson of Chief Ngomano of the Shaka. I've gone to Zululand looking for African medicine. I've also gone to Zimbabwe to look for African medicine. I've also gone to Malawi to get an African medicine, in Venda, in Shangan. I have never seen a sweet medicine. All medicine are bitter. And the bitter they are and stronger they are, the more they are better. What is it in this book of yours that is so sweet medicine? Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and compatriots, abangana bethu, welcome to University of Johannesburg, the first annual, the first of its kind, the library seminar. Good luck, enjoy.
Is this one working? No. This one isn't working, eh? This one should be working. Great. Good evening, madam. Welcome, everyone. I am absolutely chuffed to see all of you here. And I hope you're going to enjoy listening to an outline of the book and listening to the author that we have here tonight. And the honor is one for me to introduce Panashe to you. Panashe Chikumadzi is our author for this evening, and this is her first novel called Sweet Medicine. And I can assure you, James, if you read the book, you'll realize what sweet medicine is all about. Anyway, Panashe's credentials as an author.
For live streaming.
Huh?
It's for live streaming.
Oh, is that for the live streaming? So do I need to hold them? Sorry. There we go. Panashe's credentials as an author could be, it's a long list, I would say. Not only has she written extensively because she's been a Root First Fellow and did the Root First lecture as a fellow last year at Wits University. She's also the founding editor of the Vanguard magazine, and I don't know if I hope that at least some of our female members of the audience will be familiar with the magazine, and I'm sure we can query Panashe on that as well a little bit later. But as I say, this is her first novel, and I will hand over to Panashe now, and she will talk you through some of the main sections of the book, and then we will launch into the debate and discuss the book at a little bit more greater length. And afterwards, we'll also open up for questions and answers so that we can all interact with the author that we have here. Warm welcome. And Panashe, over to you.
As I understand it, You will have to unfortunately stand and hold the mic.
Good afternoon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm very nervous, as you might be able to tell. I usually prepare for like 5 people, anywhere from 5 people to a big group of a big room. It helps to manage expectations. So when there's a big room like this, I'm very excited, and it's a nice surprise. So thank you so much for coming through to hear me and to speak about sweet medicine. I'm looking forward to the questions. And I think those who know me know I'm the kind of person who likes to engage, and I hate talking at a room. So I'm going to try and keep quiet as much as possible so that we can actually have a discussion going, because I am actually interested in hearing your perspectives. And I'm not the sort of person who's going to dispute your interpretation. I've gotten very interesting interpretations from people, from family, who are saying, yes, you know, that character, it was Tete Ningen. You're like, no, but okay, that's fine. I've never actually heard of that person before, but it's okay. To, you know, friends who just will come up with all kinds of explanations. And I'm not the person who's going to dispute it. If that's your interpretation, then, you know, I'm very interested to hear that. And I just want to say thank you to UJ and the library for hosting this event. I wish we don't do this at Wits. I just came from from a lecture at Wits, and we don't do these kind of nice things in our library. We just come and study, sleep under tables or whatever. Point is that we don't have as nice a library as you guys have. So thank you very much. Maybe we might consider coming to UJ next year for these kind of things. So in essence, I think it's I always evade the question of why I wrote the book, because I think it's something that I've been doing almost for about 6 years, but almost as something that it was very uneven process. So something it started off as a short story, which I started in matric, and it was just an idea that I had. So those of you who might have read, it's probably the scene with the Nyanga, and then that's really where it all started. And then I revisited it over years, and it comes, so maybe in 1 year I'd write 1,000 words, the next year I write 10,000 words, and then eventually I decided I'm going to finish this. And that was about a year or two ago, and finally then I decided I'm going to finish the book. And I think there's a whole range of questions I was interested in exploring. I think the foundation of the story started with the question of the traditional belief systems versus Christianity, and the ways in which we make a false dichotomy between the two. So one is evil, one is good, you know, one is progressive and the other isn't, one is irrational, the other isn't. And so I think I started with that, and honestly, it actually started with Things Fall Apart, because that was a very important book for me. When I read that in matric, and some of the questions that I was thinking about, and that really came through with the book. So initially I was interested in the question of religion, and I suppose what may or may not be interested is that when I started the book, I had very different politics to what I have right now. I think particularly those who know my nonfiction work, particularly with Vanguard, you know that I'm very much of a Black feminist, a womanist. Those are the politics that I have. And at the time that I started writing this, I didn't have any of those politics. I was one of those Black first type of people. You know, seek ye first the kingdom of liberation for Black men, and then everyone else, you know, will follow. So it's actually quite funny to me, that I started working on a book that foregrounds the experience of women. That was a happy coincidence for me. Particularly, I think one book, and I wrote this to the author, Nervous Conditions. I wrote Titi Dangarembwa and a letter telling her why I didn't like the book at first, because I'd sort of been introduced to a lot of questions around being African, being Black in my matric year, and I'm reading I Write What I Like, I'm reading Things Fall Apart, and all these narratives of, you know, colonialism, but they don't really speak to gender at all. They just speak of, you know, the man, and that's the story that we're interested in. So when I read Things Fall, nervous conditions, it was like, but this is not important. Let's go to the real things. We'll talk about these things, later on. And it's only later in my own development, in my own thinking, and starting to actually see myself and seeing my experiences as a woman and other women's experiences, that I actually then the scales fell off my eyes, and then I could see, what an important book that was. So that's interesting in terms of my own personal development. In writing the book, I've definitely am not the same person that I was when I started 6 years ago, even in terms of my characters, how I related to them. I think I pitied them. I looked down on them. I didn't really have much regard for them at the time. But I think now I have a very different perspective of women, and particularly women who find themselves in the situations that Titi, the main character, and her best friend Chieta find them in. Just as a show of hands, how many people have read it so that I know sort of where to pitch the conversation? None. Okay, that makes it easier. No, it's easier to discuss certain things if I'm not sure if you've read or not. But very briefly, the story is about a young woman at the height of Zimbabwe's economic woes, which is around 2000 era. This is when you've got the hyperinflation. This is when you can barely find things in the stores. And this is a time where someone who's grown up with very typically Zimbabwean values in the sense of hard work, education, being a strict Christian. That's the kind of household that she was brought up in. The idea that if you work hard, this is what you will receive in your life. But I think once things turned around with the economy, you no longer had that direct relationship between hard work and, getting degrees and that sort of thing. All of a sudden, it could have been the guy who was just really great at hustling. In the book, we talk about, Zimbabweans would know what I mean by this, but burning money on the black market. So it was for people who were very nimble and quick-minded, which is not really the kind of person you are when you go to university with many degrees and you have a studied way of doing things, and you're waiting for tenure and that kind of thing. You found that there were a lot of young people who also made a lot of money because they were able to make the deals very quickly on the market and that sort of thing. But in the context of this story specifically, Titi then finds herself having to question a lot of the things that she was brought up to do. Particularly, I think a lot of us as Black people in general, you understand the idea of doing better than your parents and wanting to look after your parents. I thought I'd be buying my parents a fridge or a car by now, but I chose the wrong degree or career. But just the idea that, you must give back to your parents must be very proud of you. And she couldn't do those things. So now she has to make decisions about how she's going to make a livelihood. And one of the decisions that she makes is to be in a relationship with a much older man who happens to also be someone who's involved in politics. So in essence, she's also then faced with the insecurities of that relationship, particularly the idea that if you could do it to his ex-wife, you can do it to you. So in the story, we are now sort of going through with her what she decides to do, and how she rationalizes and how she compromises many of the values that she had for herself. And you find that there's many other people also compromising values that they might have had, and how they negotiate those things in their lives. So I think with that, Prof, you can start the discussion.
So we'll just jump just cut to chase. I did literature.
from an undergraduate at the University of Zimbabwe, which is part of the location, part of the setting of the story. And then the time that I was doing my undergraduate, but then also my master's and my PhD, sort of coincides with the time that story, or the story is set, which is between the year 2000 up to about 2010, when the dollar was then abolished, and then had moved on to much more current existing education around dollars and pounds and so on. So for me, I found the book sort of very interesting from that point of view, because it was an era that I was older, and some of the things that I also went through. But of course, I know, being a literature person, that this is a representation, this is fiction, this is something that art is created, not because it's something that God threw down on earth, but something that a human being made, that you be manufactured so that you could actually break it when you want to interpret in as many ways as possible. That is the joy of reading books. That we can make our own meanings, that we can see ourselves or not see ourselves in books and instruments. So, when I was reading it, and it's interesting because it's a debut novel, it's a first novel of Panache. I was just consider myself to be someone who likes to write. I've written lots of poetry, but I'm a closet poet, so all my poems are there in some box somewhere. But I've written hundreds of poems. I have a book that I've written about this particular period as well. And more than 300 pages, and it's still sitting there at home because I haven't put myself actually want to publish it. And interestingly, the book has two protagonists who are the university students. They start out as university students, and both of them are these two guys. And here there's two ladies who are friends, who are also trying to hustle to survive. And in my book, we have two guys who are trying to hustle to survive, although the other friend is very killed by the police in a student protest. Because we protested a lot of times during the year, 10, 12 times in between every 10, throwing stones at the police, just in general showing our disenchantment with what was happening at the time. Of course, I think because we just were against the system, we just anti-establishment. So, what I'm going to do in my role as facilitator is to sort of just start the discussion by speaking to how I read the book, some of the issues that I saw in there, and relate them to what I actually want to say about that and what I want to speak to, and then open it to the floor. So my understanding of the book, the plot, how I understand it is about one girl in particular is in the first person, so she uses I. It's not as if someone is writing the story about another person that we are observing. So she uses the first person. It's interesting because, so since he's an economics student, and economics for me is something that runs, is the current that's quietly running, beneath the story, just beneath the story. Economics, if you want, but more economy, more political economy. And this is something that I think South Africans, particularly South Africans, the majority of South Africans, 40 million of South Africans, will relate to how the things that we eat, the things that we drink, where we play, where we stay, where we sleep, who we hang out with, is constantly constrained by political economy, is constantly constrained by the economy. Of course, we know that one of the elephant in the room for South Africans is that as much as you against the left, as much as against the right, the essential truth is that the economy of the country is run by, let's say, 4 banks, a few multinational corporations, and so on. So what it means is the history of the country, the past of the country, the president of the country itself is constrained by the president, where we may not talk about it, we may not point at it, but the fact is that if you look at non-meat, if you look at Anglo-American, if you look at the big banks and so on, what it does is show you how, even though our human culture, even though what we do every day is supposedly not really has anything to do with economics. Economics is every day in our thoughts, in our place. On the bed, we sleep. And the air we breathe is polluted or not. It's then the architecture of our country, the architecture of our cities. You look at the outlets on one side, certainly on the other. You cannot completely forget how we look where we are. And when you're reading street medicine, I think that what Panache is trying to do is to actually show how the lives of Zimbabweans, the lives of TC and Sheza and so on are happening on top of the current of history. How it's very completely impossible to escape the way we are shaped in image, mirrored by some of the history that we find ourselves in. But then are we going to be a victim of that history, or are we going to reshape ourselves and modify ourselves? So what sort of choices are we going to make? Am I going to make the choice to sell out? Am I going to make the choice of being going with so-called patriotic groups? Am I going to just ignore everything and pretend that nothing's happening and so on? So, Tsitsi is an economics student, and at university, she has learned the discourse or the doctrine of capitalist paribus, right? That all things being equal, all things being static, all things being the same, this should be done. And she learns her life has been some has taken in that aspect of being sort of predetermined in that way. Because she grows up in a Christian village, she grows up in from a rural area, she goes to a boarding school, there are certain expectations about her after she's graduated and so on. And then slowly she starts to question. Because her mother's job or my mother's job is that's life. You know, those days of we show like this life is just like that, you can't change anything. You know, very little is going to change. All you can do is just live your life. Like Shakespeare says, you walk on the stage, you perform, and then you move out of the stage, you get some stage left. I think Titi tries to go against that doctrine to say, are we just puppets on the stage of history, or should we actually do what we can to show that we're getting? So she actually does the interesting thing because the way that I don't think it's moralized. She seduces an older man who is her father's age. Seduces, she's the same age as the daughters of this man, who's a politician, who's a father figure, who's married. So here's a girl who then decides, if trying to use a swear word, please forgive me. He says, I everything, right? I'm going to go for this. I'm tired of being poor. I'm tired of begging. I'm tired of being a hungry graduate. I'm tired of doing this. I'm just going to go for the stomach. I'm just going to go for food, the car, the house, the good things. So she said, you see this older man. At first, this man, so because the kind of message you're going to get from, let's say, NGO pamphlets, from discourse about gender identity, so it's that the African man who seduces young girls. It's the big African man, the rich African man, who got this appetite for young girls, they seduce them with money and things, and they abuse them. So in this book, no, it's the young university graduates who goes for the jugular. And the first time she follows him at a party like this one, he goes out to the bathroom, she follows him. And then she wants to give him a blowjob. And he refuses, right? And then later on, one thing leads to another. So it has the big man, what was in his mind. Okay, so she then marries this man, but there's no love in the relationship. She doesn't mind. She isn't very love. She's very wife of mine. And then the sweetness in fact comes in where for me, she doesn't want to tell you. The point for me, look, I enjoy writing books. Even if my favorite books I read in 5 times, again and again.
That's why I like to do this.
So, okay, for the sake of sort of declaring anarchy, she doesn't want me to tell you the whole story. But I just wanted to find out why the heroine is some sort of crazy heroine. She's not a feminist. She doesn't seem to hold on to any ideas, at least in my view. She just does what has to be done when it has to be done. Why did she choose the kind of heroine that she chose? Why did she choose Titi the way she is?
So what's quite interesting is that when I finished the novel and I really submitted to there's many different publishers for my projections, whatever, and eventually I got a list from Japan, and one of the guys that didn't respond sees my publisher at an event and says, "Oh, so you're taking sweetness and oh, you know, we love the manuscript, but we just wanted to change the ending." It's all okay. You wanted to change the ending because it wasn't, because also they're feminist press, so they publish feminist novels, and so because it's not quite feminist enough, right? So that was a very interesting thing for me. So, you know, your first time writing, outside of my fiction writing, I am someone who self-identifies as a feminist, as a black feminist. So, you know, obviously I'm thinking, do I need to change this? What does she mean it's not feminist and that sort of thing? First of all, like I said, I didn't set out to write a feminist book. And I'm not the kind of person, in as much as I have very strong political views, my novel is not here to be a hidden pamphlet for feminism or feminist manifesto. I can use my non-fiction for that, and I can get my point across much quicker than that. And I think it's important to tell a story. And like I said, when I chose the CT story, they were really just at the beginning. It really was just that there were vehicles for me to tell a story about religion. I didn't even care about politics or anything like that. But obviously, over time, as you start to develop the characters, you start to get to know them and you start to understand. Like I said, when I started, I was someone that I pitied, someone who, you know, I had no real regard for the kind of people that I was describing. But I think going back to being feminist, I would disagree that she's not a feminist hero, because I think the idea that a feminist must be perfect is a really terrible one. One, because, you know, the way in which we like to victim blame women or just people who are oppressed by a particular system, we blame them for the ways in which they negotiate. So what I mean by that is, so obviously I like natural hair, I'm that kind of person, but I don't subscribe to the Afro versus we debate. The reason being that we live in a society where, for example, if you go to a workplace, you will be told, please can you do something about your hair? You know, or in different schools, for example, if you look at the code of conduct, it will say, you know, no exotic hairstyles such as afros and braids, and that kind of thing. That's the language. So every day people are getting the message that this is not what you should be doing. When someone then goes and gets weave, I don't blame them. You know, if they're not in the entertainment industry, if they're saying this is what we need for people to make it, and really it's a very sexist and racist society, I'm not going to blame people for the way in which they respond to their oppression, how they survive within that system of oppression. So for me, then I don't blame, in a very patriarchal society, I believe now, I believe in marriage as empowerment. I believe in, I personally don't moralize a woman saying, I'm going to be with this man, he's got XYZ resources, and this is going to be my route to empowerment. I don't see anything wrong with that as long as we have the stacks, the odds stacked against women. So in that way, I don't see her as someone who's a bad person. I just see her as someone who's trying to survive. Because it's easier to be a good feminist the higher you up in the economic run. So someone like myself, I come from a very middle class background, and won't ever have to be in a situation where I want to look after people in my family, and there's no way out for me. What am I going to do? So it's easy to look at me as a feminist ideal, but they will always trash women who come from particularly poor environments where they don't have much. So like you're saying, the economics intersect with gender, race, class, all of those different things. So in that way, I don't see her as someone who's an anti-hero. She's just a person who's trying to survive, and I don't make any moral judgments about that, because I think very often we're more concerned with policing how people respond to oppression as opposed to ending the oppression, right?
You speak to this issue where she does what she wants. At times she uses sex to get what she wants, and so on. But she also continues to do mother. So your mother feels like a woman. She does as a prostitute, right? And there's a conflict between your mother. So the mother doesn't appreciate what she's doing. And then she also takes another woman's husband. And then, so this, when the sweet medicine comes in, she gives the husband the last portion.
Is it the husband? You only to say that. We're gonna stop like sister. You're gonna ask people now. I'm kidding.
I enjoy reading it. Sorry about that. But I just want you to speak to when a woman decides to do anything she can to survive. And then she steps over other women, avoiding the morality of the tale there.
Yeah. Again, so when I approach it again, I don't police people who are oppressed. So it's similar. So woman on woman hate is the kind of language you're getting. That's the kind of area, so like black violence, those kind of things. But in the system of oppression, the point is that in order to survive, you're made to hate other women. You're made to disable black people. You're made to hate other black people. That's how you'll survive, right? Which is why the so-called the Uncle Tom figure is a person who does really well in that system because you think everything is anti-black. That's the code of the world. So in a very sexist world, the way in which you survive is to be anti-other women. It's not going to be as easy. So sure, I would like to do something else, but I was interested in just understanding what are the thought processes behind and how, why. And again, I don't provide a moral judgment. Of course, I'd not like to do that. Of course, I'd not like people to do all kinds of things. But again, I'm interested in this book more than anything, interested in the context with which people have to operate and to humanize as opposed to judge as to how, why you should have done this or whatever. But perhaps if it was a different situation to do the same thing, then maybe that's another discussion. But I think that given the particular context within which people are operating, then I think it's understandable. It's not favorable, but it's understandable why people do what they do. And you look very troubled. You look very troubled.